Howdy, y'all. You're tuning in to a sometimes lonesome, sometimes crowded, always podcasting. Oh my god, am I really hearing a helicopter out my fucking window? Da 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 da, da na na na, na 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 na. Nah, that's pretty loud. That is goddamn loud. I'm gonna do this in one take, y'all. Greetings from the helicopter! I am podcasting from a very lonesome, crowded place. Lonesome in the skies and crowded in this helicopter. It's me, DJ Middleway, Harley J, back again, telling you about helicopter news. Down below, I see all the tiny ants and people below. They're really all the same, and I am me too, 6 years old. Same as I was then and now. Imagine learning never-ending math equation at 6 years old and being like, wow, I'm the same as I am now. And then never again. Once you age, you'll never get to be the same as you were when you were 6 years old. Interesting. What a little interesting little preamble. Hey, if you're going on tour with Modest Mouse, wow, good luck out there. Hope you're having fun at those shows. The shows have been spectacular from what I hear. I am thrilled to talk to you about those shows on the podcast. Tell me how the openers were, because in particular, I have a very special guest on this episode. It's none other than one of the members of Silver Triplets of the Rio Hondo. Silver Triplets of the Rio Hondo isn't just a band, but an experience. An audio portal to another reality. And when you step through, so begins your journey on the road and beyond. Beyond genre and definition. Haven Moltz Matthews on drums and Christopher Cook on guitar and more sets an atmosphere that bends fantasy and reality with memories from the past and of paths you've never taken before. All set to the deep, dulcet tones of my very special guest today, a friend of Modest Mouse and many more, soon to be on a stage on the East Coast near you. It's William Slater of Silver Triplets of the Rio Hondo. Welcome to the podcast, Billy.
Hey, Harley. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the invite.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm very excited to potentially hear you on tour. I don't know if I'll be able to make it to your shows on the East Coast, but hopefully a show of yours sooner or later.
Yeah. Are you based in, am I correct in thinking you're based in Texas?
Yes, Austin, Texas. I
Awesome.
met your guitarist, Chris, while he was doing guitar tech work for Searows, another Portland-based
cool.
band.
Right.
So,
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of road stuff lately. He normally goes out with Courtney Barnett, but we're expecting him back within a week or so. Hopefully get a little rehearsal in before this tour.
Oh yeah, I mean, it seems it comes naturally to y'all considering what I have listened to of y'all. I normally don't listen to bands before I try to see them live if I know I'm going to, but I had to for the pod, and it's just like this feels like something out of a dream or out of my childhood. Like the stuff that I listened to from y'all. That track, The Road, just like really gets you going.
I appreciate that.
Of course. The album that The Road is off of, plus it has that really cool music video.
Yeah, the video. It's a
Uh,
collaboration with some friends of ours in
mhm.
Mexico. Actually, they made it. They made it
Wow.
mostly. They mostly made it remotely there.
Mm-hmm.
My
That's off
friend
of,
Rodrigo.
and the song is off Luminous Dial. You can look it up
Correct.
on Bandcamp if you're a big Silver Triplets fan. Yeah, that music video is, I think it's beautiful and perfect. I think it reminds me of a lot stuff you'd see off of that Strangers to Ourselves era of Modest Mouse music videos.
Right. Cool. Yeah.
Speaking of Modest Mouse, how are y'all acquainted with the band?
Right. Well, personally, I have a kind of a long history with the band. Done some touring. I've played a bit on the records. I would say my relationship. I don't. I'm more of an extended family. I kind of come and go. I wasn't really around much for the Casket era, but I mean, it's hard. I'm like maybe I'm an electron in the cloud. I don't know what to say.
You're
Um,
part of that
I just,
ecosystem.
yeah. Let me think. Like on Strangers, since you mentioned that record,
Mm-hmm.
there's a Jeremiah song called "God Is an Indian," and on that song in particular, I'm playing an acoustic piano and singing, but I'm banging
Oh.
a glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hear like a line end and you hear a little clink, that's maybe a good metaphor for my relationship to Modest Mouse, as I'm the guy that plays the glass of water. I
That
don't know what
glass of
else.
water stands out. Now that I know what it is, it's striking. I'm so happy I know what it is now. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
tracks. I really wish they would have been able to play that at the Luck Ranch show in 2022,
Oh,
but that was canceled due to COVID.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a time sort of stopped for a while, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. It came and go so easily at that point. Working with Jeremiah on like the percussion bits there, how was that experience?
Oh, Jeremiah. I mean, one of my favorite people. That song just is just him through and through in a way. It's sort of cheeky and sweet at the same time. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was his song. So far as the percussion bits, you mean the glass of water? I don't know that I
Yes.
necessarily. That was, that take was just a room full of people. And I believe it was Tucker Martine did the engineering, and we just kind of did it family style. But yeah, that's Jeremiah's spirit lives in that song for sure.
Absolutely. It gets on its horse and rides through our hearts.
Yeah.
Oh man, that kind of dinner table mentality. I was talking to Benny with
Mm,
he does percussion.
of
Everybody
course.
knows at this point listening to the pod, but it kind of feels like that psychic link everyone has, and the dinner table mentality you talked about there. It's like every kind of buddy brings something to the table in terms of the creative process with Modest Mouse.
I'm glad you brought up Benny. Yeah, he's really special for that. It's hard to really define what it is he brings, but it's also super essential. He's just kind of like the cosmic glue or something. You just need him. Never really know what he's going to do. But my tenure with Modest Mouse or whatever, if you even call it that, I
Mm.
probably should be careful not to overstate my relationship to it. But doesn't overlap much with Benny. But we did that Casanova experience was with Benny, and I'm just a fan of him and personally as well. He's just a great dude.
Absolutely.
California as well.
Oh yeah, Caliphone's going to be touring with Modest Mouse this few shows as well, and it's going to be
Mhm.
a very fun back-to-back thing for Benny at those shows. He won't
Oh
have
yeah,
time for a nap.
he's built for it.
Absolutely. How was that experience playing with Ugly Casanova on the boat?
Yeah, I don't think any of us quite knew what to expect. It
Mm-hmm.
might surprise you to know that most of us aren't frequent cruise goers. It ended up being really magical, I think, in a way, just the chaos of it. The Casanova set in particular was like during a really rollicking gale force storm in which Kurt Weill's drummer, if memory serves, had to remove his crash cymbals because he was afraid of being decapitated.
Oh
Not
yeah.
not making that up. He was actually afterward kind of shaken by it. And then Casanova gets on, and I'm standing on a riser playing a lot of wah guitar. And if you
Mm.
know how that works, that's kind of hopping on one leg. And that was physically pretty terrifying in a sense, because the boat would lurch and you're standing on one leg. And I'm pretty sure I almost just got thrown, and, multiple times, but kind of came together. The chaos of it, just the insane wind. Paul Jenkins and I did a double saw performance, and for that set from Black Heart Procession. And I'm not sure that just an engineer's nightmare so far as trying to mic two acoustic saw performances during a set of a gale force storm.
Wow.
But that sort of thing is those sort of chaotic variables are the things that musicians really look back at and romanticize. I mean, it was a cool experience.
Would you do it again?
I'd love to do it again. I'd be sad if I wasn't there.
Yeah, we definitely got to get something happening on a boat again. Smaller, bigger scale, maybe less storms.
I'm hearing that there might be something else, down the road. I think it went well enough that it's, under discussion.
Excellent.
And for your, I don't know if any of your listeners were on the cruise. You'd have to assume so.
Yes, we did a whole episode about it.
Oh, cool. I was also the one that there was a really sweet moment at the end of the cruise where Isaac and Doug played bedtime songs, like lullabies.
Yes.
And I was the guitarist in the tiny control room with Isaac playing the Grisman and Garcia tune, A Horse Named Bill.
Wow.
That was also a pretty special moment, I thought. I'm sort of just in awe of his stamina for pulling that together, honestly. I can't believe he even made it to the bedtime song. He just so much expected of him at every hour of the day, and he showed up.
Wow.
He did it. I'm hoping to find some version of those performances from somebody that was on the boat, just filming a intercom, because I'm curious as to what it was like. But it's pretty weird in the room. It was like a 2.5 by 2.5 foot intercom station, and Isaac was crouched over a table speaking into a microphone, and I'm holding a guitar kind of up shoulder level because we wouldn't fit in the room otherwise.
If I happen to find those recordings, I'll send them your way.
I hope you will.
Thank you. Yes, and the Ugly Casanova set definitely has had some cameras on it, but Simon recorded it and has it professionally mixed on Ice Cream Party.
Incredible. Oh, yeah. I'll make sure I ask him about it. He mentioned something about that he was going to have that done.
Yes, for sure. And just a curious question for potential other musicians who may be coming on the cruise in the future. How much is it work percentage versus actually getting to chill out and enjoy a cruise percentage for a musician?
For the performers, you mean?
Yes.
I think everybody had a nice, everyone I spoke to seemed to say that the ratio was agreeable. If you're Isaac or a member of Modest Mouse, you have something to do pretty much every day, if not in Isaac's case throughout the day. But I believe most of the bands had a one day off and something to do kind of every day around which their schedule would be based. But in terms of having downtime and being able to enjoy a boat, depends on to what degree you enjoy, a boat, a floating Vegas. I would recommend it for anybody. It's a weird experience and memorable.
Excellent. I hope we get to see y'all on the cruise again soon then. Maybe Silver Triplets and more. So you as a musician, how'd you get started with that?
Okay, well, thank you for the question. Music, I don't know. Like if you go back, people ask you why you start writing. I guess my answer, I've never really had a good one for that question, but I just always have. Since I was pretty young, taking piano lessons as a little boy, I started trying to bring songs to my teacher. It was nonplussed that it wasn't Beethoven, but some people just can't really stop it. I mean, and there's really no other excuse for it because it's so. Who would possibly choose to do this given the state of the music industry now? It's so inhospitable. I guess a good answer for that is, as it pertains to Triplets, is that it just gives me somewhere to go. The world building, I know Isaac's been great at that for quite a long time. If you go to the studio, it's sort of like a psychedelic portal into his brain. And Triplets is not dissimilar on a smaller scale with the records. And you mentioned Luminous Dial. I think that record is sort of a celestial AM radio dial
Oh yeah.
in my mind. And you build the world and you try to live there for a while. And I describe Triplets as sort of a fantasy band for that reason. I don't necessarily think that it's psychedelic country or anything in particular, but it's a world building band.
Mm-hmm.
I think the new stuff we've been doing, and we have a new record kind of.
Ooh.
It's been in the works for a couple years, honestly, but it's all the stuff is there, all the tracks are recorded. It's sort of an island noir record, so it's pretty different. But
Ooh.
it's the world, and who doesn't want to go somewhere else these days?
Your music sure does take me on a journey for sure. So
Appreciate
I'm
that. Thank
excited
you.
to Island Noir. I can't imagine the combo there. How would you like kind of attribute like the elements that bring that into that to be?
Well, I think that it could have to do with the writing process with me. I
Mm-hmm.
I have a background a little bit in composition as well, but like
Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated by like noise collage and music concrete and a lot of ambient stuff as well, and that gives you a really if you come at it from that angle, you can kind of expand your palette and try to create places songs can live inside, and that's what it is. Like that you would expect on an Island Noir record to have little vignettes of sea life and psychedelia and that sort of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
don't expect like a tiny bubbles, but it's definitely like a fantasy record.
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, it's something along the. I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, Harley, but it's something. It's sort of like that scene from Labyrinth with everyone's dancing, and there's like a dungeon synth element to it, I suppose. If
Ooh.
that's not
Okay.
too corny to say.
No, not cornered at
Dungeon
all.
synth.
I like it.
Dungeon synth. Well, I don't even know what that is, but I think I would say shamelessly that yeah, that's a portal I've been kind of peeking my head into lately. Just am fascinated by the genre. I'm not sure I totally understand it.
Beautiful. If you are having trouble putting a specific word of the thing you're making, I think you're making something new.
Oh, well, that's what everybody hopes for.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of new and you can't help but be a product of your influences. But if those come together in some sort of natural way, you borrow and you find the right alchemy and it doesn't sound overly referential, I think you're on the right track.
Absolutely. And do we expect to hear any of the new stuff on tour in these next few months?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I
Ooh.
think the set will be, it'll be quite a bit of new stuff, probably. It'll be, a healthy dose of the Dial
Mm-hmm.
era and then probably quite a few of the new songs, yeah. And
Excellent.
hopefully can get some of that stuff to a place of availability relatively soon, so we can circle back about that at some point if you like, Harley.
Absolutely. How did arranging this tour with Modest Mouse come about? Have y'all toured with them before?
No, Triplets haven't really toured in a couple years, to be honest.
Mm.
Isaac's earned the right to kind of like taste-make as he pleases, and I guess you'd have to ask him why us, but we're certainly thrilled to be a part of it.
I think it's a really good fit.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I'm not so naive as to think that we have a body of work that compares, or even as should be mentioned in the same breath as a Mike Watt or somebody like that. But we're excited to be a small part of it for sure.
Mm, absolutely. Um, and with the Luminous style, taking us back to that album, have you heard of the video game series Fallout?
I'm unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar. It takes place in a post nuclear Fallout America, and one of the games in the series, Fallout New Vegas, has because it's taking place in New Las Vegas, it has this sort of cowboy vibe, but like with
Cool.
elements of like sci-fi mixed in with that nuclear fallout everything. I was like listening to this album and it was giving me like am I in that universe, but hearing like unheard like original music from that universe.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I have that's the right idea.
Mm-hmm.
The fantasy angle, like going somewhere else, and you're welcome to go wherever you please. But it
Mm-hmm.
reminds me, my old band Grails used to play with a fellow in England that ended up marrying a woman in Detroit, I think somewhere in Michigan, and they met in a similar world. I believe it was a video game, Red Dead Redemption,
Oh,
and
yeah?
and they would meet on, maybe you know this better than me, Harley, but like they would meet on horseback and hang out together in that fantasy world, and didn't actually meet in person for quite a long time, but that's how they fell in love.
Oh, that is so sweet. And
Weird, huh?
yeah, with Portland being a bit more less westerny than most places in the U.S., how did that sort of atmosphere, world building, come to you for the Luminous style?
Hmm. Um, well, I don't know that it's necessarily location specific to Portland.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I mean, you're based in Texas. I
Mm-hmm.
should tell you that I'm half Texan.
Whoa,
Um,
cool.
my grandfather was pro tem mayor of Abilene, and my mom was from there.
Oh,
And I have a cousin in the Austin Hall of Fame by the name of Joe King Carrasco, who's a big Lake Austin staple, and I'm
whoa,
honored to be his blood. But I would say, so far as that lineage is concerned, uh,
it's really come to you.
more Texan, I think, in a way. Like, excuse me, I think that when you're younger, coming up in music, you trying to there's a trend for people to try to sing higher than they're supposed to, and it makes for some questionable music. And I have that era as well. But I think, thanks to my Texan background and just kind of what I grew up listening to, I found a comfortable place listening. Like, I rediscovered those old records that I used to ride my rocking horse to growing up and stuff. And those are like the Texan crooners, like Marty Robbins and Jim Reeves and Orbison, and even, I mean, Roger Miller doesn't really. I don't know. He has his crooning moments, but just those. I realized that my voice was more something else. You know, um, the less I try to sing high, the more natural I feel.
Mm.
And that sort of, I mean, so I guess in a sense, and I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I don't know that Oregon as a location informs Triplets so much as
Mm.
the records you borrow from and form your history.
The culture, yeah. I feel that, especially on the singing part. I as a trans woman, vocal therapy and trying to figure out where my voice is comfortably is a big challenge.
Sure.
But like I find myself whenever I sing, if I go a little low and slow, like I feel like, oh, that's a comfortable spot I can hit at. And I'm
Yeah,
like, that's my number one tip to anybody that's doing any sort of singing or work on their voices. Do what's comfortable. You can make some
yeah,
really fun stuff from there.
certainly. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And speaking of unique singing styles, Isaac Brock on this new record, there's going to be a song called "Dog Bed in Heaven." He has from what I've heard from it live, it's like this kind of dirge that's like full on emotionally and a bit sad, but it has that kind of Western vibe to it. Are you aware of that song?
Right. To be honest, not yet. No.
Oh,
Uh,
you're gonna
I
hear something real good on the record then.
Yeah, cool. They were just rehearsing some of the new songs the other day, and they were sounding really nice. I don't know that Dog Bed in Heaven will be on this tour, but Isaac's
Looking for it.
always had a little bit of Western adjacency, I think.
How do you two feel like you've inspired each other over the years, knowing each other?
I wouldn't be so audacious to say that I'm a large influence on Isaac Brock. I would say that our friendship is something that we both value. I admire him quite a bit for the nature in which he operates. If you believe that the only thing you can count on him in life is change, which I do, he's just remarkably adaptable and tenacious. And by that, I mean, I think, partially due to the way he grew up and stuff, he just kind of finds a singular path and is sort of unflinching with it. And it's probably a large reason people appreciate what he does so much.
No one of his songs, I think, is too similar to the other. I'm excited to hear the dissimilarities between all of the Luminous style and this new Island Noir album. Does it have a name yet?
Yeah, I think it's in tentatively it's crime luau, which has got like a
Ooh.
cheekiness to it that I hope is perceived in more of a beef heart sense
Mm.
than a full cheeky. It's workable, but I'm visual. That's where it is in my mind's eye. Kind of pulpy in that sense, like a pulpy noir novel.
Fantastic. Mahalo for that one.
Thank you. I mean,
Very
crime
welcome.
luau and taken the wrong way kind of sounds, it's something silly about it. It's like bloody birthday or something like, but if you, I mean, I don't know what a luau is. It's the very opposite of crime. It's like it's togetherness and celebration and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the dissonance in that title that applies to most of what triplets are about. We're all about dissonance. It's all about
Mm-hmm.
the chocolate and the peanut butter, the two things that you can combine that don't belong together that make something else. You know, that's the idea.
It's a very beautiful concept. I'm really digging it. Do you have a time for a few listener questions?
Sure, please.
Okay. Curval from Reddit asks, do the silver triplets and silver Jews get along?
Well, R.I.P. David Berman. I'm afraid he's no longer with us. We might be playing a show in Nashville. This is a TBD, and it
Mm-hmm.
would have to be TBD very soon because that show was scheduled for May 26th, I
Ooh.
believe. That was with Brian, who was the drummer for Silver Jews, and he
Wow.
plays in a band called Country Westerns. As is often the case in Nashville, that show sort of got canceled last minute in a kind of comically cantankerous way. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but thank you for the question and please stay tuned.
For sure. The monk bought lunch on Reddit also asks, are you triplets?
Not by blood, no,
But by soul.
by soul. And sometimes I think that that's sort of a cheeky name. Oh, I should also mention that Isaac gave us that name.
Oh,
I
Isaac
think
gave y'all that name.
that is relevant to the cast. Isaac gave, I'll say this.
Mm.
It was he gave me he gave us that name sort of very casually in passing because I'd realized when this band was formed quite suddenly and we were about to go on the road, I had thought of everything but the band name, and I just casually asked him. I was like, he knew about the tour and the band, and I was like, what's this? And I just kind of was like, I don't even think I even thought about what this is called, and he's like, it's called Silver Triplets, and I was like, I suppose it is. And that was it. And
So,
then
the Rio
yeah,
Hondo.
the Rio Hondo was me. I added
Mm.
that. I think, in a sense, that was a bit of a Zane Grey, Riders of the Purple Sage reference in my mind. If you know that book, I think it's just Silver Triplets was cool, but it needed something else that
That,
kind of it's something else that sort of more embodies the sound. Deep River in Spanish, it turned out.
ooh, yeah. It is some deep music for deep river listening. Excellent. Thank you so much, Billy. I really appreciate you answering some listener questions and coming on the Lonesome Crowded cast.
It was my pleasure, Harley. Thank you
Yes,
for
for
inviting.
sure. I'm excited to hear more of y'all, potentially on tour if you come to Austin then.
Yeah, we'd love that. You'll have to say hi.
I hope to have you again soon, especially if you have some more exciting developments, such as the release of tentatively titled Crime Luau and more.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
I should add that Isaac actually, for someone having named this band, he I think he's forgotten that he did and makes fun of me for the name. It's very Isaac, the
Oh,
most Isaac
golly.
thing ever.
Uh,
Okay, thanks, Harley.
Likewise. See you soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye. Silver Triplets are starting their tour the day I'm releasing this episode, May 21st at Bunk Bar in Portland, before hitting the road further east and maybe Nashville, definitely Louisville, Kentucky, then Chicago, Pittsburgh, Philly, New York, Kingston, New York, Providence, Rhode Island, and then they'll be on with Modest Mouse starting June 4th, the eve of an eraser and a maze being launched into our ears, all the way down the East Coast, till they have a back-to-back performance with Modest Mouse at the Orange Peel in Asheville, North Carolina. While you're at one of those shows, if you like what you hear, take home one of the grooviest vinyls I've ever seen, the luminous dial. That vinyl looks like it was carved out of that same green material the dial is made out of. It is so groovy. I want it. Purely from an aesthetic point, but also sonically, that album is so nice. I feel like I could play it for anybody, especially my grandma. She would like it. This is a limited release. Only 200 copies exist internationally, worldwide. You might be one of the only people who has that illustrious, luminous dial vinyl. So get it while you can. Tote bags, bandanas, t-shirts, and more are also available for that upcoming tour. If you spotted that coyote poster as well, it's really cute. If that alone hasn't convinced you to go see it, I hope that podcast interview I just did for this, that you just listened to, also does it for you. There's plenty I learned from talking to Billy. Thank you so much for coming on the pod. And I'm very excited to hear from you when you go to those shows. Tell me how you thought Silver Triplets of the Rio Hondo did. I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at lonesomecrowdedcast@gmail.com. Send me an audio message to the same email so you can have it put on the pod if you don't have time for a call. But if you want to do a call, let's get something on the books. We'll analyze your favorite Modest Mouse song as well if you want while we're on the podcast together. Make it a whole group project. Because remember, it's either lonesome or it's crowded. Either way, we're both co-hosts on this merry-go-round that we call a podcast. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I'm excited for you to check out potentially new songs on the tour and more soon. Catch you later.